Hi there, this is Dennis Velco from OutBüro. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of OutBüro Voices, where we have engaging conversations with LGBTQ professionals, entrepreneurs, and community leaders from around the world. Today, we are very pleased to have Tyler DeSouza. He is hailing from the Philadelphia area and has a long-standing company that I will let him share all the tidbits about. It is called On Femme Style. It is focused on the fashion industry for cross-dressers and the trans community. Welcome to the show, Tyler.
Thank you. Thank you, Dennis, for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Well, awesome. We appreciate you taking time out of your day. I know this was a busy time of year for you, I'm sure, with getting all your um, fabrics and so forth ready. So if you would give us a little bit of information about OnFemme.
Well, On Femme is a company that has been rebranded from a previous brand. I started this business with my mother over 25 years ago when she was a image consultant for cross-dressers, and she made a studio in her home. Uh, and the one thing that she could not seem to get right was the clothing. So her business evolved from a image consultant where she would dress up her clients and give them a fantasy glamour look. It was mostly cross dressers into a at the time mail order catalog. Uh, and in that initial incarnation, which was called Affordable Fantasies and Illusions, we curated fashions. Really wasn't too many fashions, but more like accessories for the cross dresser and some trans people, because it was a smaller, at least understanding at that time, who was trans. And the next step in that evolution is that we rebranded this company in the 2000s to become known as Suddenly Femme. And at that point, I started to design, and we designed and manufactured our own brand of clothing for cross-dressers and trans people. In 2017, my mother, she retired, and she passed the company to me, and I thought it was a better idea to rebrand the company as On Femme, which in the cross-dressing community means as a woman. So, for example, if someone says, "I'm going to go out dressed as a woman today," normally they're in their community, their lexicon is, "I'm going to go dressed on femme today." So I felt it sounded like a very pretty word for a brand, and it also had some inside knowledge of what you're wearing, for our community. And we had some insight, and people felt very comfortable with that branding. So On Femme's brand name was born. However, we have been making, designing and manufacturing clothing, mostly in the US, for at least 20 years.
Oh, very interesting, and quite a history there. If you didn't state, I recall you sharing with me earlier that the company in its entirety has been around for, again, like 25 years now.
Yes, I mean, I think that, well, the company itself e-commerce and mail order has been around for 25 years. I have been around cross-dressers and gender variant people for probably 30 years. I've been around them since I have been at least 12 or 13 years old. That's why my mother started her studio in her house. So for me, I'm very familiar, and like as an adolescent, I grew up around cross-dressers and trans people. So for me, they're just a part of my world. So that's I feel very comfortable in a way being a representative and helping design for their specialty fit needs.
Very cool. And why is there a need It's like, is it due to kind of the privacy that someone feels less comfortable going out and shopping at their local stores for, the earrings and the bracelets and the scarves and so forth? Is that kind of how and the why it was born? Or you mentioned too, your mother started it more as being a stylist. So was it that they just needed help and education on what kinds of things would look good on their body type and so forth?
Well, as a team, we worked together because mother was pretty much a fashionista. She was a very fabulous dresser. She loved to put looks together, and she, really helped shape my, sense of fashion as a male and actually how to dress females. Um, there are things uh, about clothing that people really don't understand. When for a trans person or a cross dresser, they have special needs uh, when it comes to either augmentation of the bust, whatever form they would like that. When it comes to cross dressers, more of a fantasy experience, and when it comes to trans people, it's their life. So it's a little bit different, but they both have similar needs when it comes to clothing their body. So one need is augmentation of the breast area. To whether it be small, petite, or very large. In the case of some cross dressers, really love fantasy large breasts. And when it comes to their lower area, their midsection, they need compression and smoothing, because in order to, people that are assigned male at birth, they have stuff down there that if they want to and they'd like to smooth it out, they need garments that help them to create that look, whether it's pre-transition in surgery. So our clothing items, she found that she couldn't find items just to fit her clients that are 6'1", 6'2", and let's say they would be considered a size 14 or 16 or 18. The things that would not fit with those are the sleeves would be too short, the armholes would be too tight, the waistline would really be in a very strange position. Cutting them off made it look like a sort of a strange piece of clothing on them. The inseams wouldn't be long enough. So I always tell people that if they're looking to transition, the things that do not change about the surgery are, the length of their arms and the length of their legs, and where things will be put on their torso. So that's how our brand fits in with making either specialty undergarments for the for these customers, or making clothing that just fits them correctly the first time that they get. That's one of our brand brand promises, or hopes, is that when you get something, it should fit you much better than you get something just in the regular stores.
Very interesting. And I, for one, have not even thought about that. I'm used to, seeing female illusionists, i.e. drag queens.
Mm-hmm.
And, I have been aware that many of them make their own clothing.
Right.
And I just thought it was because they wanted to have something unique, for whatever look they were going for. But so you just enlightened me as to, no, actually it's literally a body size issue, like the length of the arms and where the waist is in relation to the rest of everything and the inseam. So you just taught me something. So hopefully our audience will enjoy that little lesson as well.
Yeah. Well, depending on the body, some people, if you're very thin, and let's say, we'll go with the drag queen for using your example. If someone is very thin and, they happen to be 5'6", then yes, I mean there are there are dresses that they can fit into and squeeze into because lycra is their friend, and in many ways it will fit. Our line has a big array of styles, and yes, some you can get other places, but we tend to specialize on items that customers may not be able to get somewhere else. We've now expanded into a bit of streetwear where you can get the item somewhere else, but you just want it from our brand because you like our styling. But initially, I would say years ago, it was about specialty items that, like, let's say a small turtleneck dress that you wanted to be sort of mid-thigh. That's a hard fit for someone who is 6'2" and maybe 220 pounds. That's going to be hard to get to fit right. So we specialize in those type of garments, but now we've expanded it into, we've gone short sleeve, we've gone sleeveless, we've done gowns and everything, because at this point we're a fashion brand that has, kind of a vision and a style that people like, and on the trans community has done a wonderful job at creating a spectrum for the people that are in the community, whether it is cross-dressers or not. And we tend to lie on the feminine side of the spectrum. But, you can have people right in the middle who really identify as more agender and or they are, all the way over here that are agender, excuse me. And then you have people in the middle who, identify, some femme and some, and some male. There are also, for example, cross-dressers who like to wear feminine attire and lingerie under their work clothing when, we all used to go to work. But they would, put these garments on. It really made it helped them express themselves in a more discreet way. So, there's all different types of expression in this community, and I've come to understand it as well as people in my organization, from insight in how wide the range is of people that like to express themselves through clothing in some sort of gender variant way.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Yeah, this is one of the things that I love about doing these interviews is, even as a cisgender male, gay male, just because you identify in some portion of the LGBTQ rainbow doesn't mean that you automatically know everything about all the other facets of the community. And I've never thought about someone who is, as you mentioned to me before, probably 75% or more of your customers identify as heterosexual, but they enjoy cross-dressing. And your example of wearing a feminine garment under perhaps their suit or their business clothing and going to work is no different. Okay, little tidbits. I'm a free baller. I don't wear underwear. So, and I haven't for several years now. But then before that, for close to 4 or 5 years, my underwear were jock straps. I wore jock straps every day, all day. And I would wear that under my, just as like underwear, going to work every day to my business clients and so forth. And it's just, I like them. They feel comfortable. They kind of made me feel a little bit sexy, even though only I knew. So I could get why someone would want to, if that's how they like to express themselves and how they like to feel comfortable and confident,
right?
Might be a heterosexual male, but they might be wearing a little pink frilly bit of underwear underneath.
Yeah, well, and in order to design something like that, it's not as simple as one would think, because if one is going to wear something under their clothing, now when it comes to the bottom pieces, if you could find, if someone can find something wide enough to accommodate them down there, that's your first challenge. So of course we design for that, but up top, you can't just get any bra, because they have to be pretty flat to the body and not be too obtrusive, because you don't want it to stick out or see what's going on here. So we have a lot of what we call like soft cup pieces, and just they're made to really almost be very almost yoga type, yoga bra or sports bra looking pieces, that have just very little show through in clothing. But they're also a great piece for trans girls who are starting their transition and they need something to grow into, because not all, I mean, they have to get like a AA or a training bra, which doesn't always fit the needs of a trans girl who's starting. Sometimes she likes something that makes her feel a little bit more special. So we have specialized items for that. And it's funny because it goes to both clients. It's the cross-dresser who wants it to be discreet, and also with the trans girl who wants something she can feel comfortable but grow into, that has sort of soft and thin material, because they want to see their growth if they can, and they don't want it really compressed. But you can get more compression with women's sports bras, because that's how they're designed. So ours don't give you compression, but they give you the flat look and the show through that a lot of our clients are interested in.
Very interesting. And that is interesting too, that you are essentially designing clothing articles for almost two separate types of people, really, because of the cross-dressers who want the illusion and the fantasy and that, and then for the trans person. And so is it also perhaps more not only for trans male to female, but does your line also do similar garments for the person who is transitioning from female to male in a sense of compression and so forth? I don't think we talked about that.
Yes, no, we don't. We only specialize in male to female garments.
Okay.
I understood that was another part of the industry, but we never really expanded into that. And I don't think I have any plans to do an expansion into that side of the spectrum.
Okay. All righty. And so talk to us a little bit about your design process. When we first spoke, you mentioned the different types of compression undergarments, for example, and whether if the person is desiring it for a short, 1 or 2 hour, cocktail reception, for example, or if they're wanting to actually wear something all day. And I thought that was very interesting, the different facets that you go through during your design process.
Well, so what I believe you're speaking about is we have all different types of design process, but if the garments that you're speaking of are classically called a gaff in the in our world, I tend to call them compression panties because that's what they are. And I don't understand who made this term up. However, I'll use the classic term of gaff. And the challenge with gaffs for many years is that they came in what you consider a thong form. So they would go through the rear and the center, and they had to compress and hold what's called a tuck. And a tuck in the in the cross-dressing and trans world is when a person rearranges their genitals so that everything is flat, so that they can put a garment on top of that and flatten it and hold everything being smooth. Now, there's all different ways people can tuck and all different ways that people can do it. Some are more aggressive and some are not. So, but there's a generally accepted way to do it, and we make garments for the generally accepted way. But the challenge that people had is that it was very uncomfortable to wear these garments for a long time. Now, 15, 20 years ago, the large part of our customer base was cross-dressers, and it was what we consider a temporary hold because they're only wearing it for an hour or two. Maybe they're doing it while their wife is out, so they get a couple hours to dress up, or they do it after work. So it was more important for it to be flat and as flat as possible, because normally they're wearing very, very tight outfits. So the comfort was not an issue. But as trans people started to become more and more of our clientele, we understood that they needed something that they can wear all day long, and still feel confident that it's holding everything in. And these would be, pre-transition girls. So, our line is expanded to be really the largest line in its depth of these compression panties that give the ability to have it flat and also wear it all day long. You can actually have a style that is a thong. You can have a style that is a briefer. And you can even have shaper gaps that go up a little bit further on your body, so that you as a as trans girl can go out and not feel that you have to hide anything with the purse if you're sitting on on public transportation or whatever, and you don't have to rearrange, and it will just feel great all day long under your jeans or your outfit or whatever it may be. But we also have our class tighter gaps for the people that do want something, or for a drag queen who is performing and just needs it to be really tight. And so, for a couple hours. Now we have a lot of clients that are very comfortable with compression, and they love the tighter ones. They want them as tight as possible, and that's all they care about. However, we found that overall, when it comes down to it, when people get these sort of garments and they enjoy them, there's many cross-dressers who wear these gaps or compression panties to work. So it's even in their regular male garb. They won't wear panties that are more comfortable. They may wear a gap because they like that compression feeling. So in that case, again, it's got to be comfortable so they can wear it all day long. So we would engineer and improve and improve. We always welcome customer feedback. We always want people to tell us, and we have a kind of like a first try guarantee in our business that if you do get the garment, and because a lot of people don't understand how they feel about compression, they may get it, it may be too tight. So if they do get it and it's not right, because we have such a large line, we'll normally send them out something else that we know based upon their now preferences that will fit them and give them, whether it's a tighter hold or a little more comfortable hold, for whatever their needs are. So
and
that's
most
the
of these,
whole.
yeah, and so most of these are in the G-string category.
Well, it's more like it's not really a wide thong. There used to be a wider thong. We had them down to I would say about 60% of the designs are in a thong design, looking sort of like a G-string, but of course wider in the back because you have to accommodate the body parts. And about 40%, which is much more comfortable, is in a briefer design. Meaning just like sort of regular underwear, it has a specialized compression panel that looks attractive. And we have different variations in that, like some that are sort of like a poly rayon that are very, very soft every day. Other ones that are in like a double knit that are very pretty, but give you a tiny bit more compression. So our customers have all these graduations in choice when it comes to these garments, and they've been very popular and very successful. We took a long time to design, especially the briefer ones, because no one had ever really done much of a briefer gaff style, and we have had people doing online reviews of them, and they're like shocked at how well they work compared to the other design, which a lot of people will stop wearing gaffs even if they are, and they'll find some other way because I can't do that all day long. But then they find these and they're like, well, okay, wow, now I can have underwear that looks pretty and it also does that job. So for me personally, that's a big achievement, because the biggest thing that is important in this business is that when I provide something to the customers, it makes a difference. And that is a huge difference in some people's lives, whether it's feeling confident that they don't have to hide parts of their body when they're out, or it gives them the ability to go about their day and feel confident all day long that they have something that for their specialty needs has like achieved their goal. Now they don't have to think about that anymore, and they can live their life and, you know, be their authentic selves to other, you know, without having to feel and think about these garments that, you know, could make them, you know, feel a little different. So we're here to serve their needs, you know, normalize their experience and help them to be as confident as they can. So that's what excites, I guess, me about innovating and really engineering these pieces, because unlike other clothing items, it makes an impact on someone's life. And that's what very much excites me,
Oh,
as well as my staff.
very, very neat. Very neat. And it, you know, as we talked in our initial conversation, you know, this is about, for you, and I get it, I get the sense of it now as well, is it is a sense of helping people be their authentic self and express themselves. And
Yeah.
what a satisfying thing to be an entrepreneur. You're able to create and innovate and create new products, but products that make a difference for someone. That is awesome.
Yes. Well, my mother, you know, before she retired, passed away, she did ask me, well, you know, because I could do anything I wanted. You know, I did work with her, but she had asked me if I wanted to, you know, continue with this or what I wanted to do. And I said, yes, I want to continue with this. I mean, there in the future, maybe extensions of other things, but this is a core of design and fashion that really makes, you know, fulfills me, because I've been so connected to this community, and it just really satisfies me to make a difference in their lives, because they're, you know, it can be such a tough journey, and, you know, they are, to me, you know, so courageous and, you know, so special, and anything that I can do to help them to feel really good about themselves, whether it's like for fantasy or cross-dressing or achieving that really look that they always wanted, or just for trans people feeling really confident in society about how they look and how they present, and achieving that, you know, however they want to express themselves, that makes, you know, that makes all the difference to us, you know, in our business and our business model.
Very, very cool. So you also design clothes, and I believe, if I remembering correctly, you kind of described your line of clothing as kind of like the Lane Bryant, or correct me if I'm wrong, of the cross-dressing and trans community. Let's talk a little bit now about kind of your inspiration of your fashion, your actual outer pieces.
Well, I don't think it was Lane Bryant. I said more like, I said if I had to,
Or was it
and
Ann
it's not a
Taylor?
really good comparison. It was more Ann Taylor.
Gotcha.
Because
Sorry.
so normally when a woman was looking for a nice piece or wanted to go on an interview or wanted kind of a classically nice dress, you go to Ann Taylor, and those price points were set because it was not really a special occasion, but a piece that you knew was going to be quality, was going to make a difference in, you know, how you express yourself. Now we're going back a little bit because Ann Taylor has become, you know, they've expanded their line to be more casual, but classically they were a place where you got really nice, you know, pieces that were kind of a step up if you wanted to go to an interview or whatever it might be, make a good impression. So that is how this company navigated for, you know, for quite some time. It was a bit of a special occasion company. But we have now expanded into all needs. And again, just like on that spectrum, you know, because people will look at it, you know, we're on this side of the spectrum, which is feminine, which means that anytime you get something from us, or anytime a customer gets something from us, it will always have pretty much a touch of feminine in it. So for instance, we don't really make t-shirts because you can get a t-shirt anywhere. I mean, there could be something we in time may put on there, but there's nothing about a t-shirt that screams feminine. It could if it's pink, but that's not even really enough. So for example, even if we do a camisole, our camisoles are very attractive, but they have a sort of a bust gather over here. They have a chiffon cap sleeve on them. And then they're casual. You can wear them anywhere, but it definitely, screams feminine when you're wearing that shirt. For instance, if you get a jacket from us, the corners will be rounded. The bottom will have maybe a small peplum in the back that sticks out and makes you look attractive. A lot of the core differentiator in our items or our clothing is that when you put them on, it used to be, as I said, we made specialty items just for this before, but it still kind of runs through the designing. The brand promise in a way is that when you put it on, in some way, you will instantly like feminize your body. We have fashions that do that immediately. For instance, like a peplum dress, which has sort of a skirt in the middle, or of course a swing or a wrap dress. Those are like super feminine, and once you put it on, it sort of billows out. And even if you had no hips, the way we create them and the fabrics that we use will make anybody look super feminine. And those are some of our most popular styles. And so for instance, we run down the line of like, let's say in swing dresses. So we'll run the gamut of something really casual that you can go out in a wrap dress that's, kind of knee length, or even midi, which means down to the like the mid calf. They could be work dresses or just, day on the town dresses, whatever you might. And then we have, shorter ones that are, maybe for people that want to show off their legs a little bit, but nothing, we don't really do anything, too clubby, shall we say. And then we have, for the more fantasy sect, we have things that we do in vegan leather or like, leatherette. And our customers have classically loved, leather mixed with lace, mixed with mesh. So we have all these different types of personalities, at least in our business, that we try to satisfy, from the people that like it for fantasy and excitement to the other ones that just want to be able to go out and present, but have it, fit their body. So, but we've expanded into leggings that have compression garments in them. One of the biggest fit challenges for a trans woman or a crossdresser is putting on leggings and not having, it look bumpy in the crotch. Now, for some in fantasy, they actually do want that. So for those people, I'm not satisfying them, and I get there's some sort of a fetish, and that's, so they can get any one, but there are people that don't want that. So we designed them so that it has a compression panty built into the into the leggings. So underneath it kind of compresses and holds everything, and then the outside is constructed in a way that it will that you'll always look flat whether you're sitting or you're standing, no matter where you're going. And that's made such a difference to our customers. And for example, so the piece that we put, well, the main, you can wear anything you want with that. You can wear, a t-shirt, you can wear a long shirt, you can wear a dress with it if you wanted to, with leggings. But the main pieces that we would put with that in our line was like a short sleeve, well, let's call it long peplum top, which was kind of like for spring when we released that. And the peplum top covers all the way down in the front, right below the crotch line, and then it's sort of draped around to the back even longer. So it was a very, very feminine look, but it gave the customer the confidence that if they were still nervous about going out in leggings, if they wore that top with it, they don't have to worry, because it's so long. The line of the the seam line in the shirt is, correctly placed at the waistline. So if you're 6'1", it's going to look fine. But it also will drape around so you feel confident. So if you go around and you're trying out for the first time, no one's going to even think anything about you. But you will look very feminine in it, because it's, if you you can put sneakers on with it, or, a ballet slipper, or, or heels. But we almost had like 2 layers of confidence in that for someone who is really worried about, what you might look like if they decide to go out in leggings. So anyway, so that's the insight that we like to put into our fashion, so that we definitely give people the opportunity to feel confident, and then, as they shop for their own things, they can use our garments and mix them together. But and those all come from the insights that we ask from our customers, because we definitely pull them into our design process.
Yes, that's what I really liked about our initial conversation, and what I'm hearing now being mentioned numerous times throughout your explanation is the continual and constant feedback loop that you strive to acquire and engage your customers with, so that they're part of the idea creation and
Well, for
feedback for you.
instance, well, not to interrupt, but for instance, like you really love jockstrap, right? Well, so it wouldn't be wonderful if those couple companies that which ones that you like to get your jockstrap from, if you would be able to make suggestions and give them your feedback on what, either colors or fabrics or adjustments in the design that you really like. Because I'm sure there's some that weren't right for whatever reason. You're like, if they just move this a half an inch over to the left or the right, it'd be better. Or this stuff is scratchy. I don't know why they use this fabric. All that sort of thing is what we try to envelop in our process, so that, when it comes to the guests, we always want as much insight into, especially the compression garments, because it's a very personal experience. And the more insight we get into that, the better we can make it across the board, or start to segment for specific needs, even within that compression category. But yeah, the feedback and the design process is very exciting, because a lot of people, they will, will work with surveys and all these different sort of feedback loops. And many times for us, it's good, because when we make a style, we feel confident, and normally they do sell out. And for the customers, they have given us enough feedback. And when we see something that's, 60 or 70% where customers really like that, we'll tend to, work off that design narrative and create something that's, very, very similar to that. And if, and we get a lot of, like, a high percentage of feedback from our customers, because I think they know that they can make a difference. And how exciting is it that you say you wanted that sort of, whatever red dress that was sort of short, and you were like, oh, that's great, I'd love to have one of those. And then boom, there it is, for, in the next season. So for us, it's great because we have a much higher, conversion rate on those styles. And for the customers, it's great because they, at least a higher percentage of them that wanted that, actually get that style. So
very nice. And you're also creating a sense of community, is what I'm sensing, is because they do feel engaged. And so that kind of gets into, a bit of your marketing, and that is, having that customer feedback. And then, as you just mentioned, you take that feedback and try to evolve something that they like today, but maybe it's a new color, maybe it's a different length, maybe it's adding something here or there, and then bam, it's available. So they are directly involved in the creation aspect. You create and then they purchase. What a great business model.
Yeah, well, I call it like data-driven, like clothing and innovation, because we are innovating and engineering styles for them, and then finishing them in a fashion way. Because doing this is, when I started, it's cross-gender. One has to engineer something to fit on, bodies that are assigned male at birth. But the other side of our site is that we have a learning center. And we'll be expanding more into YouTube, but we created a learning center so that people could, could hear from experts in several areas, some on style, some on coming out, some on relationships, with kind of like a heterosexual relationship bend, because that's what most of our customers are. And I feel at this point, we have almost one of the biggest and best resource centers, outside of, a regular resource center, or .org or .gov. I mean, our learning center has turned from something that was a bit more about fashion to really all about, expressing oneself and feeling comfortable and confident, and also discussing all of the things that can be upsetting and challenging to our customers. And it really helps guide them, because a lot of times something, people, we have chat and different things, they'll call in, and sometimes people, they would have so many questions. They not only call to buy products, but they call to sometimes talk about it. And it's not always a happy story. Sometimes it's a challenging or sad story. And these resources that we have, that they can look at, they can read articles and start. We try to create the articles, not with just telling them, really what to do or how to do it, but just giving them the path that other people have done, what's been successful, and engaging questions in their mind, what might be good for them. Because a lot of our articles are about, well, this is what this is how I've done it, and this is what I did that was successful, whether it's in coming out or even style. And what do you think about that? Or these are things that you can think about. We don't try to really direct them, but give them ideas, especially about how to feel more confident and how to maybe come out to other people and what to expect from the journey ahead, because that's important. It can be scary. You don't know exactly where you're going, and some people don't know if they're just staying in cross-dressing because it's just fun, or if they actually do have if they're somewhere on the trans spectrum. So all of these things are so many questions. And our initial step was in our learning center. And then in the coming, in the future, we're going to be expanding that in an even bigger way in our YouTube channel and other types of channels, maybe podcasts, so that you can have even more of, a learning experience about it. Because just selling items to them is not the same as supporting them and helping them to feel confident, because just wearing it is not the whole part of this particular fashion experience. It's also about feeling confident about it and not feeling ashamed if possible. So that's where we try to help them if we can. So and that's a big, it's funny because when we were coming back online as On Femme from Suddenly Femme, we did take a little bit of a blackout just to really retool it, because there was a lot of retooling in the messaging that I wanted to do compared to my mother's. And the one thing that people all was top of their list is like, you're not going to get rid of that learning center, right? You're going to keep that sort of thing, because that's very important to me. So we found out, which I didn't know, that it was an integral part of our whole business is actually this learning part of the learning and education and community. We don't have much more forum, because it's more led by experts and people can chime in. That's another part of supporting our customers. So because I would say our main objective of the business is really to make our customers feel confident and satisfied in wherever they are and wherever they're going. So if we can do that in some small way, it's going to make a difference in their day, and then it makes a difference in our day.
That is awesome. Well, I'd love for you guys to explore outbureau.com and see how we might be able to collaborate on that. We do have groups, and would love to have your folks start a group and become the moderator of that. And we can share more tips and information on podcast creation and distribution places where that video can live and reach more people as well. So this has been a great, informative and educational conversation. I'm very, very thankful to have you on the show today. I appreciate it.
Oh, well, thank you so much. I'm glad that I could share, our new brand vision on, new platforms that are out there, because, that's it's so important to be able to have, people understand more about the trans community and about the cross-dressing community, which is, I think, a little misunderstood. So I do thank you for this, this opportunity to let people know about, who we are and about this community, and, what their needs are, and how, how the LGBT community as a whole can start to understand the trans community, because they're a little different. So any education about about trans people, I think is so important.
Yes, absolutely. Well, we'll definitely have links to your website and so forth down below where everyone can check out even more information and perhaps even hopefully shop for a few items for themselves.
Well, I hope so.
Well, awesome. Again, thank you so much for being with us today.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. And thank you, everyone, for staying tuned to this episode with Tyler DeSouza of On Femme. Again, we're going to have those links in the show notes. Be sure that you check that out and connect with Tyler on OutBüro.com, your LGBT professional and entrepreneurial community. You can find us not only on YouTube, as well as 14 podcasting apps such as Apple, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and about 10 others. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.